Now, foams have a 4-digit number that describes its weight and its density. For example, this is an 1835 medium density foam. Now, I often get phone calls. I call them foam calls. And the customer asks me, what does your foam sell for? Well, there's a lot of questions involved with that. How thick of a foam do you want? And they'll tell me, how much does your 4-inch foam cost? Well, that's a difficult question too, and I always ask them the same thing. What foam number are you looking for? They tell me, I found it somewhere else and they have it for X price. And I always say, what foam number do you have? And they never know. Well, you can't really compare foams to foams unless you know what the foam number is. So a foam that's cheap might be cheap because it's cheap. So you have to know what the number is about. So this is an 1835 medium density foam, and this is a 2750 high density foam. Now, those last two numbers are important because those are your density numbers. Density 50, density 35. A density between 45 to 70 or so would be considered high density, very firm. Most people don't really like it that firm, but occasionally people do. A medium density would have a 2-digit number at the end, somewhere between, say, 25 and 45. That might be considered medium. If you see numbers less than 25, that might be called a soft foam. But the first number is also important because that gives you a clue about its weight. Generally, the higher the first number, the better the quality of the foam. So a number of 27 means that if I had a cube of this foam that was 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches, that would weigh 2.7 pounds. A number of 18 would mean that if I had a piece of foam, 12 by 12 by 12, it would weigh 1.8 pounds. So those are what the foam numbers mean. So you'll want to take a look whether you want medium or a high density. Generally, people want medium. Now, Fabric Farms Interiors has foams from a 1/2 inch all the way up to 6 inches. If you need to cut foam, now you can use a bread knife. So you may want to refer to our video, which is called, I think, Cutting Foam. Now, you notice that foams sometimes have a color. These foams are white and this one is blue, but color actually doesn't mean anything. It's just a dye. And so they sometimes will put, a lot of times on higher density, they'll turn it into a color, but not always. Sometimes a medium density could be the same color as a high density. So the color doesn't really mean anything, except that as time goes on, foam does change color. So for example, here's a white foam that's been sitting around for a while, and you can see it starts to turn yellow. That's a natural result of oxidization. Generally, it's not any big deal until it turns really, really yellow, and then it starts to decay a little bit. Here's a blue foam that's kind of turned more or less a green color. Now,